Yes.
Okay, I have some question. It is well known the Falun Gong practitioners are persecuted in China for nearly 30 years. And now I want to ask information, and just for you, how did the Chinese authority discover you are Falun Gong practitioner? And also, what is the execution they arrest you? And the other thing is that they send you to the prison, decided by the court or without the decision of the court. The other thing, after you are released from the prison, they still keep watching on you and how do you really can leave China to Australia? OK， 我讲中文一下啊，就是呢，法轮功呢，被中共迫害已经差不多30年了。那么呢，我现在这个韦先生呢，我就想，因为我们在海外的话呢，对中国已经做很多具体的操作啊，我们不是很清楚。但是我们知道共产党是无所不用其极，而且是呢可以各种各样的借口。那么我就想问一下。因为我相信你是刚出来的，应该是吧？那么现在你是在中国的话呢，怎么样被共产党端局发现你是法轮？他们怎么样判定你是法轮？他们怎么发现你？第二的话呢，他们以什么罪名来逮捕你？然后逮捕你之后，他们要把你送到监狱里面，他们有没有经过法院？另外还有一点的话呢。在那个他们逮捕你之后呢，他们允不允许你请律师为你说话？然后呢，你从监狱里面出来之后呢，他们有没有在监视？There's the other question means that after they arrest you, and then they allow you to have the lawyer to speak for you or not in China. 然后今天我想呢，你把这几个问题能够讲一下，按照你的情况讲一下。然后我觉得就是说明共产党在国内的他们那种统治的那种无法无天的残暴和迷信，但我希望你能够把这个事实讲一下，可以？好，谢谢你。
好。我第一次被中共非法抓捕的时候，是在北京天安门广场。也就是说，我行使一个公民的合法权利去上访，中共取缔法轮功之后，我到北京去上访，就被抓起来，抓起来之后又调查到我曾经在家里组织人进行过20-30人的一个聚会，然后就是因为这个就判刑了3年，那么他有没有经过这样一个法律流程？他是走了这样一个司法流程的走了一个司法流程。但是呢，我们都想象不到，这个定3年要判刑，不是法官说了算，因为下面旁听席上除了我爱人之外，就都是610的。在休息的时候呢。我就看到610主任就走到了一个房间去跟那个法官交代该怎么判多少也就是说他是有一个开庭的一个走法律流程的一个形式，但是呢，实际上全都是由那个共产党的一个迫害法轮功的专门的组织610说了算这是一个情况。然后呢。
Yes. So the very first time Mason was arrested was in Beijing in the Tiananmen Square, and Mason at the time was protesting the CCP's decision to crack down and make the practice of Falun Gong illegal. So Mason was simply exercising his rights to protest, and was arrested at on that day and sentenced to 3 years in prison. in terms of if there was a fair trial or judicial process, there was, but it was merely a formality because the judge in the case did not have discretion over how long the sentence would be or how that would happen. What actually happened was that during the trial in the courthouse, Mason noticed there was a large amount of officers of the 610 office. The 610 office is a bureau of the CCP that is their only concern, only job is to just like how to crack down on Falun Gong or how to persecute Falun Gong. So this is a bureau office that is established purely for that purpose. So Mason noticed that they were in the courthouse and actually they were the ones that were deciding, how long this sentence to be or what the imprisonment process would look like. So it was purely a decision by them rather than a formal judicial process. So this process was, largely a formality.
那么这是3年的监狱生涯过后之后呢，第二次为什么他要抓捕我呢？就是我把监狱里面的事情，监狱里面的这种迫害，把它写出来了，发到明慧网去登出来了，引起了这个610省610和这个中央610的注意，他们就进行推断，谁能写这个这个监狱写这个监狱的人可能是谁啊？那么他就对我进行监视，最后这个进行了抓捕，也就是说我把监狱里面所遭受的这种迫害写出来了，就导致我最后又被中共判刑4年。在他们号称这个声称人有言论自由的这种法律之下，我却被他们又判刑了4年，又送到同一个监狱。所以那监狱里面的警察对我就是恨得咬牙，就是对我实行各种迫害。那么这种迫害无法无天，它体现在刚才我们所讲的这种酷刑同时呢。还有方方面面的包括不许阅读，甚至不许阅读不许家长接见。我这个亲人，我的孩子和妻子来到监狱里来见我，他们以我没有转化为由，不许他们和我见面。最后在我这个妻子的这个强烈要求之下。才勉勉强强允许我们见面，但是旁边有一个警察在那里坐着，只要我提到监狱里面的黑幕，他就会把这个结界给结束掉。
So after the 3-year sentence and Mason was released, Mason wrote about his experience, wrote about the conditions of the prison. And published it, sent it to be published to the Minghui website, where he wrote about the things that happened in those 3 years. However, after that, this 610 office saw this article and sort of tried to investigate or deduce who could have written that article based on the details. And Mason was surveilled and monitored, and later again arrested for 4 years and sent back to the same prison he was initially. So the guards and the prison authorities had an immense hatred for Mason because they knew he was the one who wrote that article that exposed all the happenings behind the prison doors and performed various torture methods as discussed before and various forms of persecution, including, as we said before, including not being able to read books or not being able to see family members or see family. And on one occasion, Mason's wife and family wanted to visit, but they were refused on the grounds that Mason had not been transformed, in their words. But after on the next attempt, after the immense protesting of Mason's family, they were arranged to meet. Mason was arranged to meet with his family on one occasion, but even on that occasion, there was a prison guard like sitting right between them, right next to them, and he wasn't allowed to mention anything about the conditions in the prison, because as soon as he did, the guard would try to stop that conversation.
当我从监狱里面出来之后呢，这种迫害还在持续，表现形式就是从监狱里面出来，跟随我母亲来接我的是警察是当地的这个公安局的警察，他把我接到当地公安局，就威胁我威胁我，你没有转化呀，你这个还是要怎么样啊，还威胁我要把我关系老班这个我妈妈在那个地方嘛，就是哀求，最后呢还是实施一种监控，就是他们一直把我送到我的家里去，把地址电话记下来，然后要我们经常提供这个在家的照片照片明确的告诉我不许出国，然后这个只要我出差，这个当地居委会当地社区的这个警察呢，他们就会打电话问我你在哪里出差你住在哪里，去干什么？有时候呢，甚至他们突然袭击的，先不打招呼就突然袭击，就敲门进来了，要检查我的屋子里面有没有法轮功的书籍有没有建立资料点就这样的。所以说呢，是这个骚扰是比较的严厉的。只要是坐高铁的话，就必然会有610的人来搜查我的包包搜查我的包裹。这个已经形成了一个规律了，因为我的身份证一扫这个闸机的话，它马上就出现一个异样的声音了半个小时之内，那个公安610的人就过来搜查我的包包了
So even after Mason was released, this surveillance and harassment and long-term continued. So when he was released and his mother came to pick him up, it was actually accompanied by the local police, and they went back to the police station. And on the whole way, Mason was berated by this local police officer about why he had not repented or why he had not done all these things. It was a long-term beratement. And when he was taken home, all of his personal details were noted. For example, his home address was written down, his name, his telephone number, his contacts. And oftentimes, what would happen, he was required to take photos of his house and send them back to the authorities to make sure he wasn't engaging in he didn't have any of the Falun Gong books or anything like that. Oftentimes, police would come unannounced to his house and check the surroundings of the house, or if there was any materials or books there. He was also explicitly told not to leave the country. And another strict thing that happened was restrictions on travel or barriers to travel, which is every time he left the region to another region, he was called by the officers and he had to tell them the reason for going. And every time he took the train, the high-speed rail, the high-speed train, his name being registered on the ticket actually forced a different alert, like a special alert for him. So when he would tap on to register the ticket, there would be a special alarm or special barrier, and then within 30 minutes there would be a 610 officer that would come and ask where he was going or check on him. So this was a constant barrier to his everyday life. This was constant harassment and surveillance.
Any further questions?
They torture and try to break the will and spirit. But during the torture, what was going through your mind, and was it because of the such strong belief of truthful passion for parents that is within you that made you so solid and strong, that made you hold firm because Father Duff has given you so much, and you escape the whole situation.
在那个回忆是在他们在这个不行不行，你是怎么能够在这些演出不行这么多年几次，能够还有这种挺过来，还有这种坚信，是你从修炼的法门大法当中有什么启迪？
对，这个问题很好啊。我先说一说我得法之前是个什么心理状态。得法呢，我是在大学2年级得法的走入法轮功修炼的。那么在这个时候是出现了心理精神危机啊，这一点呢有点非常像德国的作家托尔斯泰的精神危机，就是呢把人生看的是一场虚无。因为我看到那么人总是要死的嘛，那么人总是要死的所以这种虚无主义的这种哲学呢，深深的影响了我。我就觉得人生是没有希望没有意思，再正确、再善良、再美好，它最后就归于幻灭所以在这种情况下呢，我是一种万念俱灰的这种心理状态。没有人能够说服我。现代哲学了，像叔本华呀、托尔斯泰他们那些哲学了，给我最后一个结果就是人生是一场空，是虚无的是虚无的。那么就在我这样的一种心理状态之下呢，我修炼了法轮功，那么法轮功却给我一种不一样的启迪。他告诉我，人活着是有意义的人这个活着是有希望的，人类社会的存在是有很明确的目的的。这样一来呢，我就完全这个精神面貌完全改观了。我寝室的同学都说我晚上睡觉都在笑都在笑，因为呢我终于找到了这种一盏明灯在黑暗当中找到了一盏明灯谁能告诉我这个人生即使是将来是有死亡，但是呢人生还是有希望的，人生还是很美好的只有法轮功它说服了我，很多的哲学家思想家说服不了我这是一点。再一点呢，就是说在苦行当中之所以能够坚持下来，这主要是因为法轮功的道理被我视为人生的真谛，所以法轮功的这种真理之光给了我非常强大的内心支撑。法轮功的创始人李洪志先生曾经说过历史上一切迫害正信的从来没有成功过，强制改变不了人心。对这个法轮功的法理，我有很深切的领会也有很虔诚的正信，所以呢，他就能够能够给我一种希望就说中共再疯跑，他也会像苏联共产党一样成为落花流水，成为历史的过去。
Yeah, so thank you for the great question. So I guess two parts to answer. Firstly, I wanted to talk about why or when I began practicing Falun Dafa. So the context was I was in my second year of university, and before I began practicing, I had within myself a bit of a spiritual crisis or sort of personal crisis, because I was reading a lot of these authors or philosophers, and I like Tolstoy, and for example, and I was really struggling with the meaning of everything, like the meaning of life and all of this, because I thought, no matter how much joy or how much enjoyment or progress I can make throughout my life, everyone dies at the end of their life, right? That is something that's inescapable. So I read a lot of these authors who questioned the point of everything. I thought there's no point to any of this, to life, or to any of this. So that was a lot of the context of what I was going through. And in my second year of university, when I began practicing Falun Dafa and I read some of the teachings and ideas and practices, I began to this sort of filled this void inside me. This sort of gave me the idea that our lives all have a purpose. Even if we die, we have a spiritual reason, a spiritual purpose, a mission in our lives to fulfill. And this was something that really, really changed my life at the time, because before, while I was hopeless and struggling, often afterwards, when I took this into mind, when I began to study these teachings, even my classmates said that I was happier, I was more alive, I was smiling even while I was sleeping. So this was something that was very valuable to me, to find sort of the meaning of my life, or the journey of my life. And so following up on how I endured the torture in the centers, in the detentions, it is precisely due to my belief and trust in Falun Dafa that I was able to endure, because I know that this is something that is truly righteous. This is something that is truly valuable to me, and I know that this is something good. And Mason points to the there's a quote by the Falun Gong founder, not the exact quote, but the quote goes something along the lines of all throughout history, anything or any being that tries to persecute or tries to abolish something that is truly good, they will fail, right? Anyone that tries to persecute the truly good will fail. They'll never achieve this. So Mason had this hope in him that what he was believing in was something that was truly good, and what was challenging him was something that was evil and was bound to fail in the future. And he kept this hope with him that the Chinese Communist Party would, in the long term, fail because of this evil, because they were persecuting and trying to destroy something that was truly good. So that's the end.
当然，具体说来，还有一个原因，就是中国的酷刑，它的目的不是消灭肉体，而是摧毁意志。因此，它在制造肉体痛苦上是逐步升级的。而在这个过程中，我在忍受肉体痛苦的能力上面也是逐步提升的。所以，当酷刑造成的痛苦指数达到高峰的时候，我的忍耐能力也达到了相当的程度。当然了，它的前提是什么？它的前提是内心非常透彻的认识到法轮功是对的，是善良的，中共是错的，是邪恶的。
So just more on the ideology or torture method of the CCP, because even though it's physical, it is physical torture and degradation, but the ultimate goal is to mentally degrade you and challenge your sort of inner mental strength, and wear you down in that way. And so Mason believes that the mental strength is something that you can never let go. It's something that you must hold strong. And the reason he is able to hold strong is because deep down he knows, he understands, he truly believes, he knows that what he's standing up for, that Falun Dafa, is something that is good, and the CCP who is trying to destroy that is truly evil, and he's able to take that into him and endure, and that is the way he can endure all these terrible things that have happened.
Like many of us, I'm sure, just so sorry that you've had to endure so much suffering, and just wonder about the safety now. I'm not sure where you're living now, what country, or are you and your family safe now, or are you still being surveillance? Are you still in fear of being tracked?
有的听到这个刚才的讲述，感到有些理解的东西啊。我问一下你，你现在在澳洲，你还是拥有多大程度的自由？然后有没有感觉到，在像当年在中国那样被监视，心里有没有这种阴影或者恐惧的感觉啊？然后
好，谢谢。这里呢，正好我想到了这个问题，是我想到了昨天晚上做的一个梦啊。那么昨天晚上呢，我梦见自己不幸又在中国的土地上被中共这个非法的逮捕和关押啊。可是呢，在这个梦的后半部分，幸好在我被强迫户外劳动的过程当中呢，我发现劳动现场居然是澳洲的环境啊。于是我就熟练的拐弯抹角，逃脱了中共狱警的视线，回到了澳洲的我现在的 house 啊。这很有趣，这个梦很有趣，这是昨天晚上做的一个梦啊。那么在中国被捕，可是呢，在澳洲获得自由啊。这个有趣的梦境就很明显的让我感到一种强烈的对比：中国目前是不自由的，澳洲是自由的。中国目前是危险的，而澳洲是安全的。这是我到了澳洲之后呢，一个非常突出的这样一个感受啊。同时呢，我又深深的感受到澳洲人的善良啊。这种善良呢，体现在澳洲警察为我们法轮功的游行队伍保驾护航上面。这种善良就体现在丹德隆的一个市长在听闻法轮功遭受迫害的这样一个情况的时候，不由自主的说了一声 "Why" 啊，也体现在澳洲作家通过《辛德勒的名单》这本书啊，揭示了反极权的这种主题，讴歌了人性中如天使般的光辉啊。所以我为什么要很愿意在这里给大家讲述我过去的经历呢？不只是因为这个地方安全，这个地方的人善良，而是因为了我相信这种真善忍的这种普世价值会被我们澳洲人理解，也会给澳洲这个社会带来正面的力量。
So your question actually reminded me of a dream I had the other night, and the dream I had was for some reason I was back in China and I was arrested on the street, and during my imprisonment there was a sort of a door, like it was a dream, so I don't remember the exact details, but there was a door, and I opened the door, and then suddenly I was back in Australia. So this dream sort of illustrated to me the dichotomy, or the two opposites that the two societies are to me, because China is somewhere where I'm unsafe, it's dangerous, but Australia is somewhere where I live now. It's peaceful, it's safe. And I also wanted to extend my gratitude to the Australian people, because I found that the Australian people are kind-hearted and welcoming to me. And I pointed to a few examples of people, everyday situations where I would explain my story and people would question, why something like this would happen to me. Another example is in Australia, freedom to assemble and parade, and oftentimes in there's parades in which Falun Dafa participates in, and these are ones where the police escorts them and escorts the people in the parade in a peaceful and friendly way. So I think that the Australian society is one that embraces the universal principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. And I'm grateful to be here because it's one that I feel very welcome in.
Can I just ask, in relation to practicing Christians in China, I've read that there could be around, give or take, around 100 million practicing Christians in China. And how are they treated compared with Falun Gong? Does the regime see Falun Gong or practicing Christianity as being great threats? What would your estimate be?
还有这就是所谓的在中国大家听说过太平多这样，除了党职工，还有信仰基督教的一些中国公民也在这个海外，好像这个数字超过100万。相对来能谈一谈，就是你了解到对于基督教这样的信仰之外，来搞中国中共人不同，然后到达到什么样一个程度，
关于基督教这一块呢，我对这一块呢了解不多。但是呢，在我们的监狱里面呢，看守所里面，有时候也碰得到基督徒被关押的这个情况啊。我在大学任教的时候，就碰到一个学生，他是基督徒啊，一个学生是基督徒呢。他就讲了，他们是属于地下教会，很多事情都不能够公开啊，不能公开。也就是说，中共对基督教是一种限制政策啊，限制政策。所有的这个有神论的信仰，在中共看来都是消灭的对象，或者说是这种限制削弱的对象啊。这个在我们监狱里面也碰得到一些关于其他信仰其他的宗教的，也有关押在那里，也有遭受迫害的。但是呢，与法轮功形成的区别还是很大的，因为省610的有一个工作人员曾经向我透露，说在全球范围内抵制中共对宗教信仰迫害的这个排在第一的是法轮功是法轮功，所以中共最忌惮的、最害怕的还是法轮功，所以它的打压力度也更大。当然了，对什么像那个新疆维吾尔族以及西藏的那些有信仰的那些团体他们的这个打压也是很严厉的，数量也是很多的。
So unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of knowledge or depth of understanding in regards to the Christians, but I will say that during my time in prisons and detention camps, I did come across several people that were imprisoned that are of Christianity. Also, in terms of how the faith or the religion works in China, during my time in university, I spoke to someone who was Christian, and he told me that a lot of the practices are actually underground in China, or non-official, like underground churches, and that is because the CCP has very severe limitations and restrictions on the Christian doctrine that is like can be spread. It's something that's severely restricted, and that is because they hold an official atheist ideology, and anything that challenges that, anything that's believing in religious or spiritual or divine, must be challenged, must be restricted or abolished, or at the very least severely restricted. And I believe that's the position Christianity holds in China today. Also, I spoke to one of the 610 officers in conversation, and he told me that the most severe persecution is aimed at the Falun Gong practitioners, because globally the global Falun Gong community is doing the most in trying to expose this severe persecution. They're talking to more parliaments. They're doing more activism about trying to spread awareness of this brutal persecution. So that is why the CCP feels like they have to go even harder and like really repress that inside China. Also noting as well a lot of other faiths like the in Xinjiang region and the Uyghur Muslims are also facing severe persecution. So overall, it's a very broad persecution there.
Very briefly, I just wonder if you can tell us, and the old CCP law of pregnant women, one child, per family, were mothers and their husbands imprisoned for going against that law. And since the change, we're now allowed to have 2 or 3 children. Has the policy of the Communist Party relaxed in their persecution? Whether the persecution was, were they sent to prisons? And has that changed?
应该问不是我们刚才的那个主题，需要了解一下。你们知道，在中国多少年来都是计划生育政策，也就是夫妻只能生一个孩子，但是他们那个如果多生孩子呢，有2个或更多，很可能就会面临惩罚，甚至被抓到监狱的情况也有。那现在大家都听说了，中国不再计划生育，可能是因为人口下降。 然后就说2个3个都行，那这种情况如果多生孩子被发现，那个中共政府还是用什么手段，还会像以前那样对待他？
这个计划生育政策，计划生育政策在我们知道是在前期他们实行这种政策的时候，造成了很多的人间惨案啊。那么近年来呢，又放开了这个政策，生2孩3孩，然后这种情况呢，再也没有那么激烈的进行这种制裁，它是在政策范围之内的我个人的认为就是它可能就是与现在他们这种备战有关系，因为战争的到来就意味着人口的减少人口的减少，那么它需要更多的人口来填补，那么这一块呢就没有在计划生育上去做很严格的这种计划了，就可以在这个人口的比例男女的这个比例的这个不协调也造成了各种各样的原因形成了现在目前这种可以生2胎、生3胎这种政策
I'm not too sure on the so the early policy of the one-child policy was I believe to limit your freedom of opportunity and your opportunity to have children. I'm not sure about the imprisonment situation, but after this recent change, I believe my personal opinion was that allowing people to have more children was a preparation for war or preparation for future conflict and war in which they might need more bodies or more things. But I'm not too sure. That's my personal opinion on this one.
谢谢。
In thanking Mr. Mason for his talk this evening, I would say that a young Chinese film and music professional has published his reasoning why certain people get a free pass by the Chinese Communist Party and others are punished severely. Harry, tell Mr. Mason that why some people are punished very strongly and others are given a free pass.
在中国这种严酷的这个法律和这个公民化这种政策下，为什么有些人就很轻易的就逃过了，或者是根本没有惩罚，而有些是被判终刑
？This Chinese gentleman gives his explanation. He points to the famous Chinese artist Weiwei. And the American Elon Trump. Not Trump, Elon Musk has been a virulent critic of the CCP, including getting early on the Wuhan lab virus story, which made Peking very angry. Musk runs a factory in China, and his factory has suffered no ill effects whatsoever from his opposition to the CCP. The artist Weiwei, the famous graphic artist.
The Ai Weiwei.
Okay. He has been a virulent mocker of the CCP, but he has never suffered any penalty for that. Whereas other popular artists in China, the slightest deviation has seen them punished very, very, very strongly. Now, this young creative posits that the problem for the CCP is this: those people who have contacts at the grassroots in China, who can, the CCP think, foment dissent at the grassroots, they are the people who will be punished brutally. But if the CCP can take advantage of Musk's electronics, his wizardry, they will not interfere with those elements of progress that they are backing, mostly high tech and industrial, on the human relations and on the in the fields of entertainment, where the CCP detect it's a threat to their rule, they are extremely quick to punish very virulently. This young man, Yin Fi, says the dividing line is between those people who are getting away with it and those people who are punished quickly. And he says that the people who are punished quickly are what he describes as grounded witnesses. Grounded witnesses will not bend, and they will not, and they are threatened. And tonight, we have been graced with a prime example of what this man would call a grounded witness who will not be, who is a threat to the stability of the CCP, and we're very lucky to have him. And I will recommend that 25-minute YouTube later in the evening, I hope, if I get a chance. But this young creative explains the qualitative difference between all those people who have been able to criticise the CCP and still retain their civic standing, and the ones we don't usually hear about, the ones who are the opposite. And if it wasn't for the presence of Mr. Mason here tonight, I'd still be in the dark about the dynamic of how the CCP tries to manage itself. He calls it the strange logic of China's online policing system, Yin Ping. So I'm sorry to take up so much of your time with that, thanking Mr. Mason for his witness here tonight. later in the evening, if you're still here, I'll go through a short list, I hope, of the things that are being done to support victims of the CCP. But in the meantime, I'll call upon Vice President David Bennett to make a presentation.
I'd like to thank Mason for his speech and the interpreters tonight, and for all of you for attending. We couldn't have had a dinner tonight without people attending. I also thank the Falun Gong people, too many to mention, who helped organise tonight, Grace and so on. So thank you so much for attending. And what's happening in China is very frightening. And we need, in Australia, there's just not enough knowledge of what's going on, and talks such as what we had tonight help inform Australians and of what's going on in China. So again, if I may, I thank the speaker. I have a presentation to make to the speaker and to Frank, if I may, if you'd like to come up, please. And thank you very much. If you would like to sign up to future talks, there's a form on the table there. But thank you again for your participation.
Before I introduce Mr. Michael Lee to give us a short introduction to Falun Dafa, I would like to reiterate Mr. Mason's exposition of Falun Dafa's philosophy, which is perfectly in line with the natural law. Now, many of us from the Christian tradition will recognise the close affinity of principles of truthfulness, compassion, and patience with the natural law, and our principles of Christianity. And I must say, the advent of Falun Gong and Falun Dafa to Australia so many years ago, as a Christian, gave me a great new hope for Australia. That it's a very great blessing that Falun Gong has come to Australia, and it's a very great blessing that we are lucky to have Mr. Mason in Australia's gain. China's loss is Australia's gain, I'm very glad to say. So could I call upon Michael to come forward and introduce his program, please? Would you please?
Just a volunteer. If you volunteer for Falun Dafa workshop.
Stephen Lee is more than just a volunteer. He has a more exalted title.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Social Action Australia for hosting such a warm, inviting and insightful gathering tonight. And including practitioners, for example, like myself, very much appreciated. And I am a volunteer for Falun Dafa practice workshop. Falun Dafa is a very simplistic practice that is exceptionally basic. It's so simple that we call it the Great Way is the simple way, because from 3 to 100 years of age can practice. And what the practice does, it harmonizes, as Mr. Mason has actually proven, during an intense situation, it harmonizes the spirit, the mind, and overall the body. And it is a exceptionally complete practice. And we do have workshops that's tailored for everyone. It's an exceptionally loose practice. No registration required. Come and go as you please. And I mean, it's practice on every second Wednesday at Ngunnawal Community Hub. This is indoor practice. And we also have practice outdoors as well, located in different areas.
this is meditation practice. There's 5 set of very simple exercises. Just to give a very quick introduction of the exercise, what the purpose is. The human body consists of lots of meridian channels. It's more numerous than capillaries, blood vessels, but it's internal energy channel. And when we stress, we sit for a long time, no movements, it gets congested and it gets blocked. So the very first exercise, for example, is called opening the energy channel. The movement's exceptionally linear. It is really, really simple. Therefore, because of the simplicity, it has been established in 40 numerous countries around the world and 100 million people practicing it because it opens the energy channel. And once the energy channel is opened, your body naturally harmonizes and heals itself. And it has been actually proven to be exceptionally effective. And during my years of being stressed studying, I found this exercise exceptionally simple and it has helped me a lot. So I think this practice has actually helped many, many people around the world also de-stress, become more energized and live a more peaceful life, whether it's spiritual, physical, or any other ways that you may benefit from. So please grab brochures. It's on the table there. And QR code on the brochure. And thank you very much, Jared, for letting me share with everyone here about fundamental practice. Yeah, thank you.
There is a petition against organ harvesting on the table. Now, this is an annual thing, so if you haven't signed it for 2026, you can sign again for this year. We were gifted the 20th anniversary of the Ming Hui report, 1999 to 2021, but we have also been gifted now on the table the 25th anniversary of the crackdown on Falun Gong, the Ming Hui report on the table there. Those 2 books are the standard reference for persecution of Falun Gong in the PRC. This year, there is an ongoing campaign to promote the showing of the 70-minute feature film or state organs. Social Action Australia later this year hopes to promote a viewing of the film. And if anyone has connections in civil society where we can find an audience, please speak to Amy at the back of the room about your group hosting a showing of that film. Social Action Australia has supported here in Australia greater cooperation between the different groups in Australia who have homelands persecuted by the CCP. So we didn't have enough flagpoles for my flag of the Uyghur people or my flag of the Republic of South Vietnam, but we encourage all victims of the CCP to cooperate, to see what we can do together. I think I've almost run out of notices, and I wish someone else was here to say thank you very much to everybody for. Yes, of course. Gratitude, a very, very important a virtue. Tonight's it could not have possibly come out without the energy and the dedication of the efforts of Grace, who has vacated her chair, Mr. Mason's attendance and his service, Mr. Frank Ruanji, thank you very much, Frank, again. Lincoln, the whole audience thanks you very deeply for your professionalism and courtesy by being here tonight. My friend Harry, of many years long standing, Amy, for
her energy in doing the recording. These activities are a collegiate activity. We wouldn't possibly have anything without the cooperation and dedication and time of very many helpers. Mr. Phillips?
Could I make one quick comment, please?
At great risk, you'll do it again.
What is your name, the interpreter?
Lincoln.
Lincoln. I want to pay special gratitude and honour to Lincoln because I found Linton, yeah, sorry. He interpreted passages that went for a few minutes, and I thought he's to remember all of that each time was quite phenomenal. I really appreciated that. So congratulations and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your patience and your attendance. And as David said, if people want to be advised of further Social Action Australia events, please give us your name and contact details. Grace, thank you very much, Grace, for leading the team. Without your energy and professionalism, this would not be half as good as it is. So thank you very much. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.